The main vision of this museum would be to celebrate the stories, cultures, and legacies of the Indian diaspora, to honor the struggles, contributions, and homeland connection, and to create a global cultural bridge for future generations. So there are several objectives, as you can read out here, and a little bit on the description, which I think would come more as I present the concept more in detail. So basically, the idea is to have some permanent galleries, which would have a bit of personal stories as well as global stories, and also some rotating exhibitions. And the concept would be in terms of, as you can see in the picture, it's a little bit, as I explain you what the 4 galleries are, this would make more sense. The first one would be historical, the second one is current, the third one is celebration, and the fourth one is all about culture. So the first gallery would focus strongly on the early people from India who went as indentured labor, early traders, etc., etc. And that's been a very significant group that's gone across the world. I had an opportunity to travel extensively in Pacific and Southeast Asia and a little bit in the Caribbean. And I visited some of these institutions that display a very small portion, but there is still not anything significant in terms of what's displayed. So that would be the first gallery. The second gallery would be a little more contemporary. It'll probably focus on the Indians who went in there, settled, especially I think many of you here from the US and UK and other parts. I mean, I live in Australia, so I meet with a lot of them. So it would probably, focus on these people, their journeys and their settlement. The third gallery would focus on the great achievements that the Indian diaspora has done. It'll be a celebratory gallery. I mean, every day we read about great achievements the Indian diaspora has done, keeps doing. And so this would be the third permanent gallery. And the fourth one is, I think culture is such an integral part of India. And the diaspora carried that. They celebrate that extensively, whether you go to Fiji or Malaysia or Singapore or any other part of the world, you still see that, quite prominently. And so that would be the fourth gallery. So this would be the 4 permanent galleries. Sorry, I'm rushing through this because of the shortage of time. But later on, I'll be happy to share a synopsis of this to anyone who's interested. Some of the signature displays that probably can happen, are highlighted in this PowerPoint. I'm going through each one of them in the next few PowerPoints, so I won't spend too much time on this. The first one is a migration theater. So this would be a film in some kind of a theater with a particular dome that actually shows that whole migration, the journey, and how people went. And this would be a very significant part of Gallery 1. So this is not just Gallery 1, but this would be one of the key displays. So every gallery we try and do at least 1 or 2 significant displays. So this would be one of them in Gallery 1. The second one would be where there would be a lot of interesting stories. There could be letters, there could be other artifacts, there'd be many touching things. So this particular gallery would have them displayed. People can actually touch on that and then get the whole story of what has happened, as part of somebody's journey through that particular artifact. So there is a little bit of a personal connection that can come. So this also would be a significant display in both Gallery 1 and Gallery 2 combined. The third is, it's all about the global Indian footprint. I mean, as everyone's aware, India is doing so phenomenally well globally. And this one would have a little bit in terms of people who are high achievers, who have been around, and this would celebrate the success and show, what has been achieved. So this would be one of the displays in Gallery 3. There'll be a lot of other displays also, which will be part of that gallery. And the fourth one is all about culture. I think, as all of you would recognize the importance of culture, whether it's dance or food or music or both tangible and intangible aspect. And so the Gallery 4 would have this as one of the key things. And we have many options on how to split that up so that it's shown in Gallery 4. There would also, as you exit, we also thought it would be good to have some kind of an archive wall where individuals can actually contribute the story. It would be there, and maybe as you go, you touch a screen, and that whole story would come out. So this again gets a lot of the diaspora. So it's not just some people whose life is highlighted. There's an opportunity for many more people who want to contribute for their stories to be highlighted. Now, in addition to this, I think any museum would need a very strong educational component. So there would be an online component which could be crowd curated, because there are many stories from around the world that can come in. Many things can be documented, which can be uploaded. There also could be aspects there which would be beneficial for the youth, especially the second generation and others who are there who probably don't know much about India, how you connect them. And also there'll be a lot of people who might be interested in research elements. So they also might be able to go here and do research and gather more information. So these are the permanent galleries. In addition to that, you'll also have temporary galleries where things can change. So you might have country showcases, you might have showcases based on certain thematic aspects. So that's totally up to us. But this one will change on a regular basis, maybe every 6 weeks to 2 months or whatever it is. And it's a possibility. For example, these are some examples of case study, but it's just examples. So, there's many more examples that are possible. Typically, if you want to get it right, this one is based on our experience on how much area you might need, because you'll need about 17,000 square feet or about 1,700 square meters for your permanent galleries. Then you'll have a lobby area, you'll have back office, retail, you'll have space for rotating exhibitions, archives, education zone, etc., etc. So this, in a nutshell, gives you a little bit in terms of what you need. Now, why something like this in Delhi? I guess it's probably the center point for everyone who comes into India or goes out of India. And it probably would be the ideal location. But again, nothing is set in stone. So it's just a concept that is being put together. Now, there are several pathways to take this forward. We had many discussions. So either the government can give some building on a lease and we can develop it, or it can be a greenfield construction via foundation, or it can be a historic building that's given that needs to be retrofitted, adaptive reused, and then we build something there. Or it could be a hybrid where we have a public-private partnership approach. The governance and management, I think there's been many discussions. So it can be a totally independent diaspora-led board with an advisory from cultural and academic institutions and collaborations with, again, many other global museums that do have diaspora component. And typically, to get something done, once the building is there, from concept to execution might take about 18 months. Just to conclude, it'll be the first of a kind museum celebrating India's diaspora, a space of pride, education, and global connection. And it shows a soft power and cultural diplomacy on a world stage. And now to just end it, this is not just a museum, it's a mirror for a people, a bridge to a homeland, a legacy for generations to come. So thank you very much.